Hi there, it's Thursday the 16th of July 2020. We're continuing to look at how to find your path through life, and we're looking at that through the eyes of Ruth in the Bible and learning the lessons from Ruth's journey through life. And so far we've seen that we have to be prepared for the unexpected because life throws up twists and turns and it never goes the way we expect it, and we have to be prepared for that and embrace the change, just as Ruth did when her husband died and she ended up going back with her mother-in-law to her mother-in-law's home country of Judah. Her life took a very different turn indeed. Next, we have to learn not to let bitterness be our guide. Things happen in life which make us angry and upset, and that's justifiable, but not to let bitterness sit in, because bitterness takes your life into a dead end and goes nowhere. But thankfully Ruth avoided that bitterness. And then thirdly, we have to remember that we reap what we sow, and just as Ruth sowed kindness by following her mother-in-law back to her mother-in-law's home country, so she reaped kindness from her father and her dead father-in-law's relative Boaz, who had fields of corn, and as Ruth was there gleaning little bits of corn to feed herself and their mother-in-law, Boaz showed her great kindness in allowing her to take some of the best corn for herself and making sure that nobody was going to harm her. And so today we're going to learn that to find our path in our path through life, we have to learn to place ourselves in the right positions, but then to let the situation develop and unfold naturally. And here's what I mean by that. So Ruth was gleaning bits of corn and then gathering better bits of corn and barley from her father-in-law's relation, Boaz, from his field. And because of the kindness that she had shown to Naomi, Boaz was showing her kindness. And what happened next was that her mother-in-law Naomi said, because Boaz has been so kind to you, Ruth, perhaps there is the opportunity of you having a marriage relationship with him. Perhaps the Lord would bless that. Perhaps that is the way that your path or journey might be leading you. And so to test that out, what I'd advise you to do is to put yourself in the right position to see what will happen. And so Naomi told her daughter-in-law Ruth to go to where Boaz was staying and to go into his room and to put a cover over herself, Ruth, and to stay at the foot of his bed and see what he would do. Whether he would throw her out or whether he would allow her to stay there at the foot of his bed. And when Boaz saw her, he did the latter, and he allowed Ruth to stay at the foot of his bed, warm within his room. And of course Ruth, by doing that, was saying to Boaz, Boaz, I like you. I would like to have a relationship with you. Would you open up your heart and home for me? Would you consider marrying me? And this, by her actions, was what she was communicating to Boaz. And Boaz said, in the morning, I'm going to take the appropriate action. I'm going to pursue this because, yes, I would like to have a relationship with you, Ruth. I would like you to be my wife. And by allowing Ruth to stay at the bottom of his bed in a proper way with no impropriety, this was his communication to her. Now what's interesting is that Ruth didn't push this. So many times in our life when we are trying to find our way through life, we push things. We push our way. We try and make things happen. We try and manipulate the circumstances in our life to try and create the path that we think we would like to take. And very, very rarely, if at all, does that ever work. What we have to do is to follow Ruth's example. We have to place ourselves in the right position. We have to put ourselves in the frame, but we have to see what will happen, and we have to allow God to work out the circumstances for us. So for example, you might think, I'd like to work within the field of journalism. And so you make application to do the studies for journalism. You put yourself in the frame, but then you trust God to either open the door for you to go into journalism or not, either to open up that path for you or not. You don't push it, you allow God to do it. Or you say, well, there's a person I would like to be friends with, and so you speak to them, you have conversation with them, you put yourself in the position, but you don't push the relationship. You let God work it out one way or another, whether to let it blossom and flourish, in which case you know it's the right thing, or whether it would cease to be and it would shrivel and die, and then you know it's not the right thing. So one lesson to learn in life, to find your pathway through life, is to put yourself in the right position, but don't push it. Let it develop naturally and give God the opportunity to develop it as He wills. Speak to you again tomorrow.